I just got another recording sent to me from Elliot Miles, who is a guitarist and instrumentalist. He just sent me another guitar instrumental that he's going to be putting out on Spotify, and he wanted me to master it and do a couple things to the recording. And at the end of this video, or depending on whether you guys see this on YouTube or Instagram, I will either be putting the link to his Spotify on my story or in the description below if you guys want to check him out, which I would highly recommend you do. But first of all, whenever we're dealing with anything, we want to make sure we can actually hear it. I have my preferences set, but just in case if you don't know, edit, preferences, and then go to audio card driver, and then select the one you're using. Each DAW will have something like this, but this is the one that on my DAW of choice, how this works. This is Reason 12, which actually in one of my last tutorial style videos, somebody asked me what DAW they would recommend. They were using, I believe, BandLab. I've heard of BandLab. I haven't done too much with BandLab, but I have heard of BandLab, so he asked me what I would recommend, and I said I would 1000% recommend Reason 12 over your Pro Tools, your Logics, your Abletons. The reason why I don't say Logic, I don't know much about Logic. Logic is not my forte, so I don't know too much about the Logic world. I've heard it's good. I've heard people say good things about it, but personally for me, I don't know, because I already have Ableton, I already have Pro Tools, I already have this, so I don't feel like I need more than that. Also, the reason why I pick Reason 12 is, first of all, I've used it for the longest time, so I'm the most comfortable with the UI, with the workflow, and also recording is made simple, mixing is made easy, even though the plugins are probably not as good as Pro Tools. They still get the job done. The looping capabilities are not as good as Ableton, but they get the job done. And also, it's significantly cheaper than the subscription style of Pro Tools and just the massive flat fee of Ableton. I'm not downgrading either one of those DAWs. Both those DAWs are great. They're just not really my preference. You asked for my preference, I just gave you my preference. So, let's make sure we can hear this. Alright, we can. So, when I'm dealing with this track, first of all, I want to set the beginning and the end, because I want to make sure there's not dead space at the beginning of the recording. So I am just going to this cursor here, clicking on the end here, and just shrinking it down. You can see the numbers, the bars go up. So I want to move this. In Reason, just make sure your snap's turned off. In Pro Tools, I think you go into what's called slip mode for this. And just drag it to where this starts. We need to have there be a tad bit of dead space, not much though. So then when we start, there we go. So now that part's been fixed. So now let's go to the end here. Let's just go ahead and fix this right here. Right here is where it ends. So I'm just gonna have this fade, and let's add a fade out at the end here. Perfect. Now that sounds smooth. Alright. So the first thing he wanted me to do was change the tone of this. And how do you change the tone of something? Well, there are several ways you can do that. You can use distortion plugins, but in this case I want to use an amp simulator. So let's go into our effects here. You can find amp simulators. Those are on any DAW, I believe. And then there are different things you can do through that, just like this one right here. I have it set to British. Well, I didn't have it set to this. This is just the random patch I brought up. British Drive 3. Drive, that's short for like overdrive. So what that means is this is going to sound distorted when you hear it. I mean, that sounds cool, but he wanted a cleaner sound. Well, that's what he told me at least. So let's go to the clean sections. We have British clean, we have American clean. And then it's just basically, what is your preference? What do you want? American clean 1, this sounds really good. And then there are things you can do, like we have bass, mid, treble. He wanted it a little thinner, so I turned on the bass here. What this thing is here is called a gate. I've explained what gates are before. But there's a little bit of feedback, well not feedback, just a bit of background noise from the air that's in between the amp and the microphone that he put next to the amp when he was recording this. So what this gate will do is hopefully take that out. So if we go back to the beginning here. Until it hits right on here. Nice. So now that has been fixed. We're still getting a bit of air. So next thing I would want to do is let's go down to, let's grab an EQ. Any EQ will work. Pro Tools has really good EQs. Ableton has actually a really good 8-band EQ. But 4-band EQs will do the job just fine. So let's go ahead and plop one of these in here. And then of course you have all these buttons, low pass filter, high pass filter. I said that in reverse. High pass, low pass. So let's turn on a low pass. This is going to get rid of some of those higher frequencies, in this case the air. Let's set it to around, we're just going to play it here. There we go. Now the air has been cut off a good bit here. Cut off a little bit more of the high end if you want to. There's still a bit of static, but I kind of like it. It kind of makes for a nice little lo-fi recording. And I believe when he and I were talking about this, that's what he wanted to go for. Alright, so I'm thinking, so there's already a gate on this, thanks to the amp simulator, so we don't need to necessarily have another gate. Let's go ahead and add ourselves a compressor next. So how this chain works, the audio recording is up here, runs through this amp, and then the sound that is through the amplifier goes through this EQ strip, and then the sound that went from the amp to the EQ strip is now going into this compressor here. Since this is an instrumental, we don't have to have it be 4/1. We can have it be a little less, the ratio. Leave it like this. Turn the threshold a little bit down. This controls the ceiling, the quote ceiling of our sound. That's exactly what we wanted. I already took care of the floor with the gain. That was a part of the amp. Some amp simulators have gains attached to them. This one thankfully does, so I was able to do that. And now let's add a limiter, which you can technically use a compressor as a limiter as well. I'm actually going to show you guys how to do that. Let's add another compressor here. So we're going to have a threshold. The threshold will be 0. Range, will turn that to infinite. So what that means is nothing will get above 0 dB. 0 dB is the brick wall. Let's actually turn it to -1, just because that's what Spotify likes. They like -1. So let's turn up the input gain here. Bad news though, using a compressor like this will make it clip. That's why you want to have a limiter. So let's grab a limiter here instead. the input gain. Now it isn't clipping, and the volume is nice and even. And now that we have all that, let's just add one more plugin. Let's go back and add I don't think we need a compressor turned on again. Let's add the gate for this. Turn on fast. Just remove the release here. So this tries to get rid of as much background noise as we can. Turn on the expander so it acts as a fader. Now let's just wait for this. Perfect. So now we literally have a fader going up and down, and this is way easier than having to manually do it ourselves, which we can do. It's just a pain. And we might not be able to get it exactly right. The gate/expander does get it exactly right. So now that we're done with this, let's go over here. Let's add a reverb plugin, because there's some space here that I don't like. Like especially, let's take this section here. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of space here. I want that space filled, and that's what reverb does. It fills in the dead space, and since this is a slower tune, we want more reverb. So let's go and add our favorite reverb plugin. You can add any reverb plugin you want here. I'm adding this one, and then this is where you can go and choose whatever one you like best. Plate reverbs, I like plate a lot. That's way too much, so let's turn down the decay. Also, you can turn this, bypass it, so you can hear the difference. Figure out if you like something or not. Perfect. So now that fills out the dead space. So if we go back to, let's take this section here. There's a tad bit of dead space, but that's intentional dead space. He wanted to leave that space there on purpose. Because this is the outro. This is the very end of the song here. And then you just listen to it one more time, or if you feel, oh hey, we could just compress this a tad more, you can do that. So if I wanted to compress this one more time, I can, just because why not? Let's just do that. There we go. Add one more compressor. Turn threshold tad up. So this overall just smoothens out the tone. And if we wanted to add something else, I know I'm getting carried away here. How can you not, looking at all these plugins though? If I wanted to add like this, a tape delay, or in this case, automatic retro transformer. If I wanted to put this here, right? We can go in and add it to whatever we want. So like tape. Now this sounds like tape. Or if we want to do Wi-Fi. I don't like that much. VHS. VHS kind of sounds cool. Or vinyl. And that would be the vinyl. And you can still hear that in the background actually. I kind of dig the vinyl actually. Like the vinyl, that sounds cool. So if you wanted a real lo-fi recording, which I feel like that's what he was going for, you would do that. And then, let's see, what else should I add? I feel like we can add the compressor expander one more time here. And then you have that. I like, because in this case you can still hear the reverb a good bit. If I wanted to add a second reverb plugin onto this, I could. I mean, you technically can still hear it, it's just not too powerful. So I could actually switch up the order here. Let's actually do that. So let's take this reverb plugin, move it down here. So now the chain of effects are going to be reversed. So now it's going to go into this reverb blast. So now we have changed the chain of what all this signal goes through. So it goes to the amp, EQ, compressor, limiter, gate, another compressor, a tape delay, another gate, and then a reverb plugin, and then we can just use this maximizer one more time, this limiter. So just to make sure we like this, let's go to the very end here. the outro. Perfect. And so now that we got that done, now what we can do is go to File, Export, or Bounce, depending on what DAW you are on. But you go to Export. Always make sure to export everything as a WAV file. And then just change it to whatever name you want. In this case, Lo-Fi. And there we go. So I will be emailing him this soon, and we'll see what he thinks. But yeah, his song will be out on Spotify. I already produced the regular version, but I figured I'd produce it again with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing this kind of content. I know it was something a little bit different. We're not seeing what type of music we can make out of whatever sound. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, enjoyed the longer style video. If you guys have any questions, any comments, drop them in the comment section, what you want to see me do, what you want to see me produce. If you got something you want me to produce, I'm down for working with you. Just send me a DM, send me a comment. I'm totally down for working with you guys, seeing what you guys have to do. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. I'll be seeing you guys another time.